This is episode 509. And before we begin on my personal reflections on mental strength, just going to do a very quick review of last week's podcast, which is 15 ways to empower yourself. Now, if you'd like to get more information on the 15 ways to empower yourself, or even hear the podcast over again, you can go over to warriormindcoach.com and be able to find it there through the pull down menus. But real quick, just wanted to talk about, we want to empower ourselves. We want to be able to make changes in life. We want to be able to do things. And here are 15 ways. Again, these aren't the only 15 ways, but here are 15 ways to empower yourself. 1, set realistic goals. We want to make sure we hit our goals so we feel good about ourselves. Strengthen your skills. Whatever skills you have, keep strengthening them. Pay attention to your strengths, not so much your weaknesses, and empower yourself to increase the capability of your skills. Manage your emotions. This basically is emotional intelligence. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself by looking at your past successes, understanding where you've come from, and acknowledging all the great things that you have done. Gather support. This is important. You have people around you, virtual and real people around you, family, friends, that can help support you as you go through troubling times, and also help celebrate when you have those victories. Respect your time. That is, make sure you schedule time appropriately. Respect your time. Make sure that you are doing the right things for the right reasons. Protect your privacy. Basically, set boundaries. Make sure you have boundaries set as to what's acceptable, what's not, when you're going to do things and when you're not. And when you have those schedules done, you stay with them. Meditate daily. That's self-explanatory. Practice self-care. That we tend to shy away from. Self-care could be just going for a walk, eating properly, exercising, going to a sauna. But taking care of yourself is absolutely essential for empowerment. Follow a budget. When we have a budget, a monetary budget, we can feel empowered. We know where our money is going. We know how to save, where to spend. Share your housework. If you are living with somebody or in a relationship, share your housework. If you're not living with somebody or you're by yourself, do your housework. Do it every day. Make your bed. Clean the place up. It will feel empowering. Gain recognition at work or acknowledgement at work. That is, do stuff above and beyond what you're supposed to be doing. Go beyond what's expected of you. Resolve complaints or arguments. If you're in a service industry and you're getting complaints, resolve them. If you're not, resolve any challenges or disagreements you may have with somebody in your life. Use affirmations. Affirmations are huge. They empower us to live into our best light. Check your posture. Your posture says a lot about yourself, and your posture can change your attitude. So these are 15 ways to empower yourself. Now on to personal reflections on mental strength. So I'm going to be having a procedure, and I'll go through that when I go through these reflections. But I wanted to do is just share with you. These are all, I look at all of these reflections I'm going to go with you, not as areas of problems or areas of negative aspects. All of these things that have happened have strengthened me, and I've utilized my mental, my physical, my emotional, my spiritual strength to not just get through these, but get stronger at the other end. So the most significant, well, not the most, but the first significant event that I had was I was in an avalanche on Mount Rainier back in 1998. I was with my brother and several others that were doing a camp, Mount Muir camp up there. We summited Mount Rainier, came back down. This was in June. It was a little bit hot, and the snow slipped, and we all got caught in an avalanche. Well, I survived. One of our climbing partners did not survive, but everybody else did survive. I survived with a torn PCL in my right leg. That is, the PCL is the ligament that is behind the knee, which keeps the knee from hyperextending or going backwards. Also broke my left hand. But I trained so hard to climb this mountain that I was physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually prepared. Although I didn't expect an avalanche, I was prepared when it did happen. One of the things that I had to do was walk a mile in the snow to get down to a helicopter to be lifted off. And walking on that snow, my right leg, which is the knee that had the PCL, kept hyperextending backwards, which was extremely, extremely painful. So that was the biggest, or the first big significant event in my life that I was preparing for from a physical standpoint, but until that happened, I didn't realize how prepared I was from a mental, emotional, and spiritual standpoint. So all those four things came together on this particular event. Then, way into the future, a really fun thing, CrossFit. I don't know if you follow it or not, but back a few years ago, they had a concept called the CrossFit Open, which they still do. And you would do it in your box or at home. You would have the WOD of the day. You would finish up, and then you would submit your scores. And you had different age groups, and you continually went through it. The first two times I tried to do the Open, I had to stop because of physical injury. But this was the first time that I finished it through, and it really built me up mentally and emotionally, spiritually, and physically. I ended up that year finishing the top 20 in the world in my age bracket. I felt really, really good about it. And I will say that all of it started back with the avalanche, because I kept training hard every year for climbing, rock climbing, mountaineering, and then I started getting involved with CrossFit. And it helped. It made a huge difference in my attitude and how I looked upon the world, but also how I was able to deal with adversity. So the next part was that back in 2017, I had to have orthoscopic knee surgery. During the CrossFit Open, I tweaked something and it just didn't feel right. But in 2017, after doing PRP, prolotherapy, a whole bunch of other stuff, it was advised that I get orthoscopic knee surgery, where they completely removed the meniscus in my right knee. Basically, there's no cartilage left. There was this fluid in there that was called PVNS, which was a very corrosive fluid that if it wasn't removed, some detrimental things could happen to the bone and ligaments. Basically, after this orthoscopic knee surgery, I was left with bone on bone. So the knee, there was no padding. So every time I would go down the stairs or go down a mountain, it just bumped up against it. Yes, I did have some hyaluronic acid injections to kind of put a gel in there to help tamper it, but it really didn't solve it. But with the orthoscopic knee surgery, I went back, I started lifting again, I rededicated myself to doing deadlifts, and it was actually soon after that I did a 405 deadlift, 405 pounds, with a knee that has no meniscus or cartilage. So I was really, really proud of that. Just wrapped it up, took my time with it. But that was another thing. This knee surgery, I could have let it wipe me out and say I can't lift anymore, or I could use it to motivate me. And I used it to motivate me. Then in 2018, I had double pneumonia, which is I had bacterial and viral pneumonia. And just before that, I actually had some food poisoning or the flu, but I didn't know I had pneumonia. Just couldn't breathe, didn't feel right. Things weren't happening, but I still continued to work out. I still traveled and helped some friends. I still did things, but I said, enough is enough, because I had to keep sitting up when I went to sleep. And I said, this is not good. I would need to go to urgent care. Went to urgent care. They did a series of tests and said, hey, you have bacterial and viral pneumonia. You need to go to the hospital. So went to the hospital for a couple of 3 days, a lot of antibiotics, a lot of other things, and was released. Well, about a week and a half later, I still just wasn't feeling that well, and went to my primary, and she said, hey, let's just do a chest x-ray and see what's going on here. Well, then the pneumonia turned into empyema, which is, so pneumonia is fluid in the lungs. This empyema is fluid between the lungs and the rib cage, actually pus. And so I was put back in the hospital for about 5 days while my chest drained. I lost 25 pounds in less than a month. But again, I used this event to rededicate myself. I could have been wiped out mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually with this happening. But because of my previous events and knowing that I could push through it and persevere, I had the grit, had the resilience, had the positive outlook on it, I was able to use this event to rededicate myself. I hired nutritionists and we put together an awesome plan to put the weight back on in a healthy way, got back into working out. And soon, not soon, but after a while, I was up to my 200 pounds at 9% body fat. And this is one of my goals I wanted to hit for a long time. And I hit it. And I hit it after this particular event. So I used all of these events to catapult me forward in my physical, emotional, and spiritual work. Now, today, or this weekend, or this as you're listening to this, I've just gone through right knee replacement surgery. The knee that had the meniscus torn out of it, it just wasn't behaving very well anymore, and bones were chipping, and things were just getting more and more painful. So went to the doctor. We agreed to have a knee replacement surgery. So I have now had my knee replaced with a titanium knee, kind of like a bionic man, and now starts the rehab process. And again, I'm using this as to dedicate myself to grow again more mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. This one, for some reason, I will be honest, has played more with my head than any of the other ones. A couple of them were spontaneous, some were planned, but this one, and I'm looking forward to the rehab process. It's going to be upwards of 6 months before fully functional. I anticipate that's going to be less than that because last time I had knee rehab, they kicked me out after 3 weeks saying that I progressed more than they can help me. So I'm anticipating that. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is not to say how great I am and not to brag and not to boast. It's just we never know what life is going to throw at us. We never know. So we always need to be physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually prepared for anything. These events can help us increase our mental strength, or we can increase our mental strength in anticipation of some of life's challenges presenting themselves. So what really mental strength is comprised of is challenge, is confidence, is commitment, and control. Challenge. We want to set goals that are bigger than, we want to set goals that put us outside of our comfort zone. And every time we step out of our comfort zone, we want to know that there's a learning with it. We want to build the confidence in our skills and our interpersonal communications. We want to build our commitment. Again, the commitment is making goals and seeing them through. And we want to feel in control of our life and our emotions. And when we can do those, when we can really emphasize those 4 C's of mental strength, then the events that I went through are challenging, but I knew I could get through them. I knew I would come out the other end eventually stronger than I went into them. And then because of the development of mental strength, we can develop that grit, that resilience, that positivity, and the inner strength. So again, I just wanted to reflect, some of you may have heard my stories, maybe have not. I just wanted to take this moment as I'm having my knee replaced and share with you the events that have happened, and not bragging, but to encourage you to really start developing your mental strength. It may be it may be a relationship that's crumbling. It may be bankruptcy. It may be that you got laid off. It may be there's a myriad of things, but we don't wait till we're thirsty to dig a well. Now is the time to develop the mental strength, the physical strength, the emotional strength, the spiritual strength. As you can see, I've gone through a lot. I can relate to a lot. And now, those were just some of the physical stuff. I've gone through a lot of emotional things as well, relationships, finances. I didn't want to go into that today. I could be here all day talking about it. But from my experience and from my development of it, I can help you develop the mental strength to persevere through anything that comes your way. So if you're interested in it, go to warriormindcoach.com, request the introductory consultation, and we'll take it from there. But I hope you enjoyed the reflections of some of the things that I've gone through and the mental strength that has helped me persevere through that. Because mental strength or mental toughness is actually a measure of an individual's resilience and confidence that may predict success in sports, education, and workplace. So the more mentally tough or mentally strong you are, the more likelihood you are going to succeed in sport, education, workplace, relationships, anything. And this is why it is so imperative to develop. So again, for more information on mental strength or my podcast or articles, please visit warriormindcoach.com for more information. And please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.